All right, guys. Today, episode 2. Excited for this guest. Yesterday we had Coach Kimbaum on, a living legend, 5 decades in coaching, and now we got the opposite perspective. We got a young coach today. Like I said, we're going to try to cover some topics that you may not see at a normal clinic. That's the goal of this whole thing. But today I got Connor Senger. Connor and I just worked together at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater last year. He was our running backs coach. He's now with, as you see on the shirt, North Dakota State University as a quality control coach. Connor, what is a quality control coach for the people that don't know?
Well, Tim, first of all, thanks for having me on. But yeah, quality control is not a term that's commonly talked about in the football profession if you don't know much about it. But basically, we don't have any graduate assistants at North Dakota State. So there's our 5 position coaches on each side of the ball. And then there's a quality control coach who does everything behind the scenes. So it's an off-the-field role, but a lot of film breakdown, entering the data of what we're seeing from our next opponent when it comes to opponent scout, getting the practice plans ready, getting the scripts ready, getting the quarterback wristbands ready, and making sure that anything from having the game plan ready for Coach Roll on Saturday to making sure that there's a fresh pot of coffee in the morning when the rest of the staff gets in, and pretty much everything in between. So it's a great opportunity to learn and grow from the side of the football perspective.
Sure. And for those watching, one of the reasons I wanted to have Connor on today was, he's been a part of some successful programs, both as a player and as a coach. As a player, he was part of the Wisconsin Badgers team, went to the Capital One Bowl, went to an Outback Bowl. As a player at Oshkosh, went to deep into the playoffs a couple times. As a coach now, has coached in 2 Stag Bowls and for those national championship bowls games. And tell me this: you're now with North Dakota State, only a month in. What are some common traits with all these successful programs that you've seen so far in your young coaching career?
I think one of the things that all the programs that were successful that I've been a part of have in common is that it starts from the top down, really, with the leadership and getting not only the players but the rest of the staff and support staff and everyone involved, getting them to buy into the culture that you're trying to develop. Now, the biggest thing that I've noticed from program to program to program is that if you're going to be successful, everyone has to work. And it's a lot of the times it's people going out of their way to do above and beyond of what's asked of them. Whether that's players getting together on their own and watching film, or doing routes on air, doing 7-on-7, or it's coaches making sure that things are prepared when they need to be presented, and just going the extra mile to make sure that you're putting in the work. Like you and I saw this offseason at Whitewater, about 50 guys out on the field throwing, doing 7-on-7 and stuff like that on time. And I think that goes from the players and the coaches finding a way to get better as well. And coaches like us finding ways to constantly improve, even in a situation like this, where you've started this new video podcast where we can branch out and find guys to talk to and learn from, and always sharpening our craft. Just being creative in ways to be able to do that. So I think that really helps.
That's awesome. Great answer. And really want to emphasize there are no coaches present at the throwing at Whitewater, just so we're clear on that. But one thing, the reason I wanted to bring you on, because I think, you're one of the young coaches that I've been around that sort of get the professional side of it. And sometimes that, for even me personally, sometimes that takes a little bit to maybe beat into someone's head, just behavior and mannerisms, but also how you carry yourself in and out of meetings and in recruiting and with other coaches. So talk a little bit about how you've developed your professionalism so far in what is now going to be your 4th year coaching.
Well, I think the biggest thing to understand is that if you want to be successful in this profession, you have to be a competitor, right? And you've heard the expression before that every day is an interview. I truly believe that is the case in the college football profession. No matter what job you're in, there's always going to be an opportunity to get some type of promotion, whether it's with the program that you're in currently or with another program that you see as a vertical raise in your career. So like you said, really about how you carry yourself, being marketable and just trying to get out there and explore new things and meet new people, and marketability is huge, and just trying to make new connections and networking, I think, is really important.
Sure. And when you're talking about making new connections, I think back to, a conversation you and I had at the beginning of January as we were embarking on our trip to Nashville for the AFCA convention. And, I've taken, some steps, I think, to try to mentor younger coaches on that event. I've been places where young coaches have separated themselves as a guy that maybe will get a job on the positive end, and the guy that will never get a job on the negative end. And you said some things to me that made a ton of sense. And why don't you just share your perspective on, something like the convention?
Yeah, so being a young coach, the first time you go to the convention, it's a really eye-opening experience, especially for someone like myself who, I've played at the Division I level, but coaching-wise, I started at the Division III level like a lot of guys do. And you get to the Grand Ole Opry Convention Center in Nashville, and there's 4,000 coaches there, but you start to see that football coaches are real human beings, right? You're walking down the hallway, and there's PJ Fleck and his wife walking past, or you wait to get into an elevator and the doors open and Mac Brown steps out of it. It can really be almost a situation where you're anxious about. But the big thing about the convention, I truly believe, is networking, like we said. There's going to be coaches that when you're on staff, they're going to know coaches from other staffs. So even the young guys, just attaching yourself to one of the older guys who's a more experienced veteran and making your rounds around at the convention and just meeting new people. Now, I really do believe that there's a fine line between shaking hands, introducing yourself, and knowing your place, and then trying to go a little out of the box and maybe being a little bit extra where you're trying to force yourself to get a job. The convention is really, I don't really think it's a place for that, where you're trying to go shake as many hands as you can and just constantly asking people for jobs. One of the unique things I think about my career, and I'm very fortunate to have it go this way so far, is, I've never had to go on Football Scoop and see a job opening and blindly send my resume in with, I don't even know how many other candidates who are trying to get that job. Every time I've accepted a new position, it's been through a relationship that I previously had with another coach. And Coach Kinbaum talked on that yesterday with players about how it's about building relationships. Well, I truly believe it is in the coaching profession as well, building relationships with guys who are in the same career as you. And then when they have openings pop up, if your relationship is strong enough, even if it's just from a slight introduction, spending some free time with them, or whatever other connection it may be, if you have that relationship, you have the better chance to get that job, as opposed to just some random name and cover letter that's on a coach's desk. And I truly believe that the AFCA convention is an opportunity for younger coaches and older coaches alike to be able to network and build relationships. There's tons of events there where you can meet new people and just talk like human beings. And I think that's one of the best ways to approach the convention, is say, hey, I might not get a job here this year at this convention, but the people that I make friends with and acquaint myself to, they may have some openings up down the road, and just this opening up of the door can lead to further opportunities in the profession.
Awesome answer. What is probably the best thing you've done to enhance your career so far, would you say?
Well, that's a tough one. Personally, I mean, I don't want to say I've got lucky, but I kind of did get lucky with being involved with some really good football programs. So that's always going to help. But working camps, I think, is huge for younger coaches. I mean, you talk to these players and you're recruiting them, and they're all getting on the camp circuit to go see as many colleges as they can. It's the same way for young college coaches trying to get in the profession. Coaches need help at their camps, and they're looking for young guys who are willing to get in the car and go travel and do it. And if you can do that, that's just another way to market yourself and meet new people and make those connections. So I think that's another way you can open up the door for possible job opportunities.
That's awesome. Connor, I want to thank you for coming on as second guest in this this video series. You got any parting takes before we go?
Nothing really, Tim. Just thanks for having me on, and to all the coaches out there who are getting a chance to see this. Keep finding ways to use this time to get better. You don't have to be outside to get better as a football coach. There's definitely guys who want to meet and connect and bounce ideas off each other, which you're showing here. So I think it's awesome. And if we don't take advantage of this time, somebody else will, and that can come back to haunt us. So just stay busy.
Awesome. That is Connor Senger, the new offensive quality control coach at North Dakota State, our second guest on this new series. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys are getting something out of this. And if you wouldn't mind, just if you are enjoying this and getting something out of it, retweet it. Spread the word, because this is something that I'm trying to do, create content for not just me, but for other coaches around the industry. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be back next on Monday. Thanks, guys.